Welcome, creative minds, to Mix CG Arts. Today, we're immersing ourselves in the fascinating world of Blender, exploring the intricacies of selection tools and fundamental techniques. Don't hesitate, let's kickstart this tutorial, unravel Blender's selection magic, and enrich your skill set. Grab your creative gear, and let the learning voyage commence. Alright, let's dive into the basics. To select everything in your scene, just press the A key. See how easy it is? The cube, the light, and the camera, all selected with a single key. And check this out, look at the select menu, and there it is, the first option is all, and right next to it is the hotkey A, that's your shortcut to selecting everything in a snap. Similarly, you can effortlessly select all objects in the outliner by simply pressing A, just hover the mouse over the outliner layout. Plus, you can select all keyframes in the timeline menu, and all shader nodes in the shading editor. Certainly, in the edit menu, selecting everything is as simple as hitting the A key. And deselecting everything in Blender is a breeze, all you need to do is press Alt A. Alright, let's dive into the discussion about the 4 primary selection tools. You'll find them right at the top of the side toolbar in the 3D viewport. Let's dive into the Tweak tool. A selection wizard that not only picks objects but also lets you move them freely without toggling G or switching to the Move tool. Similarly, in the Edit menu, you can select and move vertices, edges, and faces using the Tweak tool. Next up, we have the Select Box tool. This handy tool creates a bounding box, and anything that falls within its grasp gets selected. And in the Edit menu, it works too. This Select Box tool doesn't stop here, it comes with 5 sub-selection tools. Since we're using the default first one, let's delve into the other 4. Extend Existing Selection. This cool feature lets you pick objects along with the ones you chose before, and you don't even need to hold the Shift key. This tool functions similarly in the Edit menu as it does in the Object menu. Subtracting Existing Selection. Certainly, this tool allows us to effortlessly unselect the previously chosen objects. Invert Existing Selection. Observe how intelligently it includes unselected objects and deselects the previously selected ones when using the bounding box to select everything. And it works the same in Edit mode, allowing you to select vertices, faces, and edges effortlessly. Intersect Existing Selection. With this tool, you can smoothly pick objects from your already selected ones. Notice how, when I use the bounding box to select all, it skips over unselected objects. Let's explore how this tool operates in Edit mode. Observe how this tool smartly picks from the already selected vertices. Plus, notice that when we use the bounding box again, it doesn't reselect them. Select Circle. This tool functions much like a brush. When you drag it, the circle selects all the items it passes over, while untouched elements are deselect. Observe closely, when you drag the mouse over the pivot point of an object, it gets selected. However, when you drag the mouse over other mesh parts of the object, they remain unselected. This tool unfolds its versatility with 2 additional selection modes: Extend Existing Selection and Subtract Existing Selection. There's a handy radius option that allows you to adjust the size of the circle brush, making it bigger or smaller as needed. Select Lasso. With the Lasso tool in Blender, you can easily draw a shape around the objects you want to select freely. In Edit mode, the Lasso tool becomes your artistic wand, letting you craft precise selections around vertices, edges, and faces. The Select Lasso tool also comes with all 5 selection modes. Now, let's delve into Blender's Select menu, discovering a variety of powerful tools for accurate and efficient selections. As we've covered the initial selection tools, Select All and None, let's move on to the next ones. Invert. Invert does exactly what its name implies. Imagine it as a flip. If you picked an object, the invert option does the opposite, unselecting the chosen and selecting the rest. And the shortcut is Ctrl-I. So, the next time you don't want to dive into the menu, simply select the object and press Ctrl+I to effortlessly invert the selection. Also, in the Edit menu, a press of Ctrl+I swiftly inverts your selected vertices, edges, or faces. Absolutely! Having covered the fundamental selection tools earlier, let's now advance to the next set of tools. Select All by Type. This powerful tool allows you to effortlessly pick objects based on their types such as mesh, curve, surface, light, camera, and more. Let's take a practical example to understand this tool better. In the current scene, there are various lights scattered around, some around the character, others inside a container, and 2 sunlights. Selecting the lights inside the container manually can be challenging. Let me show you a quick and efficient way to handle this using the Select All by Type tool. Navigate to the Select menu, and under Select All by Type, choose the Lights option. Witness the magic unfold as Blender effortlessly selects all the lights in the scene. Select Active Camera. In our 3D scene, with lots of cameras around, the Select Active Camera tool is like picking the main star. Keep an eye out for the camera with a black triangle on top. That's your active camera. No triangle on the others means they're not active. Activating a different camera is easy. Right-click on the camera you want to set as active, and choose Set Active Camera from the context menu. Now observe, the camera you selected now sports a distinctive black triangle. This indicates its new status as the active camera. Select Mirror. Let's explore the Select Mirror option in Blender's Object menu. This nifty feature works wonders when your objects are named with L4 left and R4 right, creating a symmetrical selection. The Extend checkbox helps you expand your initial selection to similar objects. If your objects don't follow this naming convention, the magic won't kick in. In the Edit menu, the Select Mirror option seamlessly mirrors vertices, edges, and faces along the X, Y, and Z axes. In the pop-up menu, you have the flexibility to change the axis as needed. Select Random. This tool randomly picks objects from a collection of objects in object mode. Observe how this tool randomly selects objects from a mix, including objects, cameras, and lights. In the pop-up menu, tweak the ratio value to control the number of objects selected at random. By setting the ratio value to 1, you can select all objects. Conversely, if you decrease it to 0, you'll unselect all objects. Adjust the random seed value to modify the various random outcomes. In action, we have 2 options, Select and Deselect. If you've already selected all objects, this tool helps in randomly deselecting some of them. In the Edit menu, the Select Random tool works on vertices, edges, and faces. Select More or Less. Select More or Less has its own sub-menu. Let's delve into each option and explore their functionalities. In the Object menu, the Select More and Select Less options specifically operate within parent-child relationships. In this scene, we've set up a hierarchy with 4 objects. Suzanne is the child of the icosphere, the icosphere is the child of the UV sphere, and the UV sphere is the child of the cube. Now, as I activate the Select More option, you can see it immediately selects the UV sphere, which is the child of the cube. Now, let's use it again, and this time it selects icosphere, which is the child of the UV sphere, and the shortcut key is Ctrl Numpad+. Let's explore Select Less, a tool which allows you to shrink your selection. And the shortcut key is Ctrl Numpad-. In Edit mode, the Select More and Select Less options seamlessly operate with vertices, edges, and faces. And the shortcut keys are Ctrl numpad plus for expanding the selection and Ctrl numpad minus for shrinking the selection. Select the parent and child. If you want to select the parent object, you need to select the child object first. Now, let's put it into action using the Select Parent option. Notice how Blender smartly picks the parent object, in this case, the one located in the middle. Now, let's put the Select Child option to work. See how it efficiently selects all the children of the chosen object. The opening bracket, key to select the parent of an object, and the closing bracket, to select its child. Extend Parent and Extend Child. To utilize the Extend Parent feature, start by selecting the child object. Use Extend Parent by selecting the child object. See how it quickly picks the parent, like that icosphere in this case. And the shortcut key is Shift open bracket. Now, to use Extend Child, ensure you first select the parent object. Let's utilize the Extend Child option from the Select menu. And the shortcut key is Shift close bracket. In edit mode, the Select More or Less tool comes with 2 additional options. Let's delve into exploring them. Next Active and Previous Active. With Next Active selection, observe as it repeats the selection pattern. For instance, if you choose a vertex, then select the next one while leaving one vertex in between, using Next Active will efficiently pick the subsequent vertices, always leaving one behind in the sequence. And the shortcut key is Ctrl Shift numpad plus. With Active Select, effortlessly pick edges and faces for a streamlined selection experience. In a similar fashion, Previous Active simply repeats the selected pattern. And the shortcut key is Ctrl Shift numpad minus. Select Grouped. Select Grouped has its own selection options. Let's explore each of them one by one. Children. Selects all the child objects linked under the currently active parent object. In this scene, we have 4 cubes arranged in a parent-child hierarchy. And notice the orange pivot point, indicating that this cube is our active object. And when we use the child option from Select Grouped, it selects all 3 children in the scene. Immediate children. Picking immediate children will select the direct children of the active object. In this scene, 4 cubes are directly connected as children to the first cube, and another set of 4 cubes forms a parenting hierarchy attached to the main cube. When we use immediate children, it selects all the direct children of the active object. Now that we have selected the other cube, observe what happens when we use immediate children. It selects the next cube, which is a direct child of the active cube. Parent. Selects the parent of the currently active child object. Notice how it selects the parent of this object. Siblings. Sibling option gathers similar type of objects into a group for convenient selection. In this scene, it selects all standalone objects, including both parents and those without children. In this case, sibling option selected all the children of the active child object that share the same parent. In this scenario, it selects only 2 objects, both of which are parents and children. Type. Select objects that share the same type as the active one. It selected all cameras when a camera is the active object. Now, it has selected all types of mesh objects, such as cubes, planes, and tubes. Now, it selects all types of lights. Collection. Select all objects that belong to the same collection as the active object. You can see it selected 4 random objects from different rows that belong to the same collection. Hook. Every hook that belongs to the active object will be selected. Hooks are commonly used with the cloth modifier. In this scene, there's an empty, known as a hook, attached to a plane object utilized as cloth. Now, it has selected all the empties when we used the hook option. Pass. In the pass option, it selects objects assigned to the same render pass. Here, it selected objects that have a pass index of 0, which includes the camera, as the camera is also considered an object. And this time, the cylinder stays selected because there are no other objects with the same pass index, just like the cylinder. In this instance, it selected only 2 lights because they share the same pass index 3. Color. Color option selects objects with the same assigned object color. First, open the shading drop-down menu and choose the object option in the color panel. Then, color the objects in the Object Properties tab. In the Viewport display, find the color option and set it according to your preference. Now, when you use the color option, it selects objects with the same red color as the active object. Now, it selects the objects with the same green color. Now this time it selects blue ones. Keying set. The keying set option selectively picks objects included in the currently active keying set. In the first keying set, we have two active objects, the cone and the gear. Now, let's utilize the keying set selection option. You can observe that it has selected both the cone and the gear. Now, selecting the second keying set, you can see it has chosen the other two objects, Susan and Cube. Selecting the third one, this time it has chosen the cone and torus. Light type. Light type option selects lights that match the same light types, just as it selects all types of area lights. Now, as we choose the spotlight, it picks all the spotlights in the scene. Now, let's use the light type option once again to select all the point lights. Select linked. Select linked picks objects connected by the same data block as the active one, using it as a reference to select others. Let's delve into additional options available in Select Linked. Object data. In this scene, we have 8 cubes, and the active one is this. Now, let's discover which ones are linked to this cube. It has chosen these 3 cubes, which indicates that they share common data and are linked. For duplicating linked objects, right-click, choose Duplicate Linked, or use the shortcut Alt-D. Material. Select objects sharing the same linked material. In this scene, observe how it selected all objects with the yellow plastic material, demonstrating the application of the material option to the active object. Now, let's try selecting objects with the shiny metallic material. Now, let's select the objects with the blue material. Instanced collection. Selects all objects linked to the instanced collection. For example, observe how it selected these objects from the front row. Now, let's apply this technique to the second row. And this time it didn't select any other objects. Now, let's explore the differences. Now, let's take a closer look at the Properties menu, where you'll find the Instancing tab. By clicking on this plus icon, you can add the Instancing tab here in the Properties menu. On the first row, these objects share the same instance collection. And you can see the last one and the objects in the back row don't share the same instancing collection. Particle system. Selects all objects that are linked to the same particle system. Similar to these cubes, they are linked to the first cube and share the same particle system, creating a consistent effect. Library, object data. Library, object data, selects all objects that are part of the same library and are limited to shared object data. Similar to this example with the mosquito, it selects all meshes and armatures that share the same object data. In edit mode, the Select Linked option offers 3 additional choices. Let's delve into each one step by step. Linked. Selects connected geometry to what's already selected. In this scene, we've chosen a vertex, and upon applying Select Linked, it automatically selected all the connected vertices. Similar to vertices, it works seamlessly with both edges and faces. Shortest path. It will select all the connected geometry along the shortest path from the active vertex, edge, or face to the one that was initially selected. Here, instead of the direct path, it has intelligently selected the shortest path. Linked flat faces. It selects all connected faces that share a similar angle. In the pop-up menu, you can adjust the sharpness value to expand or narrow down the selection. Now, let's try choosing the mesh from a different angle. Select pattern. Selects all objects whose name matches a given pattern. For example, let's type C** here, and by hitting enter, you can see it selects all the objects that start with C. Now, let's type spot here, and you can see it selects just one spotlight because it's named as Spot. If you want to select all spotlight, you need to type *spot*. You just need to type * before and after the name to select all objects with that name. Now that we've covered all the selection tools in object mode, let's delve into some remaining selection tools in edit mode. Checker Deselect. This tool creates an alternating checker pattern of selected and deselect elements. Note that it only works when you already have more than one mesh element selected. And in the pop-up menu, you can utilize the deselect and selected options to generate intriguing patterns. The offset button in the pop-up menu allows you to shift the pattern for further customization. Select Sharp Edges. This tool helps you identify sharp edges by selecting edges where faces intersect at acute angles. It's handy for pinpointing hard edges in your mesh. In the pop-up menu, the sharpness setting determines the threshold angle for edge selection, allowing you to control how sharply an angle at an edge needs to be in order for it to be selected. Select Similar. Select Similar offers different selection options for vertices, edges, and faces. Let's explore each of them one by one. Normal. This tool selects all vertices whose normals point in similar directions to those currently selected. It's handy for choosing vertices with similar orientations. In Face Select mode, this tool picks all faces that share a similar normal orientation to the currently selected ones. It's a handy way to efficiently select faces with matching angles. Amount of adjacent faces. The Amount of adjacent faces option selects all vertices that share the same number of connected faces. This is useful for selecting vertices with a consistent number of adjacent faces. Vertex Groups. The Vertex Groups option selects all vertices that belong to the same vertex group. Click the Select button to choose all the vertices assigned to the specified vertex group. Amount of connecting edges. The Amount of connecting edges option lets you pick vertices that share the same number of connected edges. Vertex Crease. The Vertex Crease option helps you select vertices with similar crease values. Face Regions. With the Face Regions option, you can effortlessly choose similar features on a mesh with multiple matching areas, all based on the topology. Face Regions doesn't stop at vertices, it smoothly extends to edges and faces too. Length. Similar length grabs edges with the same size as your current selection. Direction. Similar direction picks edges with the same angle as your current selection. Amount of faces around an edge. Amount of faces around an edge option picks edges with the same number of faces. Perfect for neat and quick mesh adjustments. Let's check what happened here. I'm selecting the Display X-ray mode. Notice how it skipped selecting these edges? That's because they're part of an inside extrusion, indicating a potential issue with the mesh. Let's take a look at all the options in the pop-up menu. Using the greater option snags edges that went the wrong way during extrusion. Now, with the less option, it simplifies things. It directly picks all edges from faces with inside extrusions. Now, it's time to get rid of the extra meshes. Face Angles. Face Angles option picks edges between two faces with the same angle as your current selection. Look at this, it shows all edges with the same face angles. Crease. Crease option selects edges with the same sharpness level as your current selection. Bevel. Bevel option picks all edges with the same bevel weight as your current selection. Seam. Seam option selects edges with the same seam status. To add a seam, just right-click and select Mark Seam. Sharpness. Sharp option selects edges with the same sharpness as your current selection. Adding some sharpness is easy. Right-click on the edges and select Mark Sharp. Freestyle Edge Marks. Freestyle Edge Marks option selects edges with the same marks. To add Freestyle Edge Marks, right-click and select Freestyle Edge Mark. Material. Material option grabs faces with the same material as the one you've selected. Area. Area option selects faces with a similar area or size. Here in the pop-up, you can either increase or decrease the threshold value to expand or shrink your selection. Let me show you another example. Polygon Sides. Polygon Sides option selects faces with the same number of edges. Perimeter. Perimeter option selects faces with a similar edge length total. Co-planar. Co-planar option selects faces nearly in the same plane as your current selection. Flat, smooth. Flat or smooth option selects all faces with similar face shading. Let's give selecting these smooth faces a try. Look at that, it just selected these faces. Now, let's shift our focus to selecting these flat faces. This time, it did the trick and selected all the flat faces. Select All by Trait. Select All by Trait has a few more options. Let's explore and learn each one step by step. Non-Manifold. Select All by Trait for non-manifold geometry, offering options like Extend, Wire, Boundaries, Multiple Faces, Non-Contiguous, and Vertices. This is accessible while editing a mesh in Vertex and Edge selection modes only. Loose Geometry. Loose geometry selection adapts to your chosen modes. In Vertex and Edge selection, it picks vertices or edges without a face. In face selection, it chooses faces without shared edges. Interior Faces. Interior Faces selects faces where all edges connect to more than two faces. Faces by Sides. Faces by Sides option selects all faces that have a specified number of edges. To unlock the magic, simply boost the number of vertices in the pop-up menu. Check this out, it targeted the faces with 5 edges because the number of vertices is set to 5. This time, it selected the faces with 6 edges. Ungrouped Vertices. Ungrouped Vertices option selects vertices not part of any vertex group. Select Loops. Select Loops comes with additional selection options. Let's explore them and see how they enhance our workflow. Edge Loops. Edge Loops tool selects picks edges in a loop. The shortcut for loop selections is Shift-Alt-Left-Click. Edge Rings. Edge Rings tool selects edges in the direction of a chosen edge in a loop. Shortcut key for the Edge Rings tool is Ctrl-Alt-Left mouse click. Select Loop Inner Region. Select Loop Inner Region tool picks all faces inside a closed loop of edges. Before we dive in, remember to select the loop edge first. See, it selected the inner region faces. Select Boundary Loop. Select Boundary Loop is the opposite of Select Loop Inner Region. While the latter picks faces inside a closed loop, the former highlights edges at the mesh border, if your mesh has one. Before diving in, make sure to select all the mesh first. A to select all. And just like that, it effortlessly grabbed all the boundaries of the open mesh. Side of Active. With the Side of Active tool, when you click on a vertex, it selects all nearby vertices in a certain direction. It works like the Loop Inner Region tool, but here it picks faces based on direction, not a closed loop. Adjusting the threshold increases the range of your selection. Right here, you have the power to change the axis. It's a simple tweak that can make a big difference in your workflow. Deselect Boundary. Deselect Boundary removes the boundary selection from an open mesh.